CMA Shipping. My name is Emma Howell. I'm the Director of Media for Seatrade Maritime News and Coverage Cloud. Today I have the absolute pleasure of meeting with Chris Aversano, President of CMA Shipping and Product Manager of Q88. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Pleasure. So, as a connoisseur of CMA Shipping, tell us in your words about the event and how important it is for connecting the maritime industry in North America.
Well, we think that the CMA is the place where the business of shipping gets done, and as president, I couldn't be more proud of that fact. Brought to the industry by the Connecticut Maritime Association and organized by Informa Markets, CMA Shipping takes place until the 31st of March at the Hilton here in Stamford, Connecticut. This is our 37th annual show, and one that brings people not only from North America, but from across the globe.
And what are the highlights of these 3 days for you?
Well, I think there are quite a few. We have more than 90 industry specialists that have committed to speak at the CMA Shipping at the show, and we're going to have this across, of course, 3 days. One of the things that I love the most is just to walk around the booths and talk to the vendors about their product and services. And there, a lot of times, you get to meet old friends and some new ones. Of course, one of the highlights, and you ask anybody, the CMA culminates with the annual Commodore Awards Gala Dinner, where the passing of the hat and the 2022 Commodore Award will be presented to Mr. Gary Vogel of Eagle Bulk Shipping. He is the CEO of Eagle Bulk Shipping.
So this is a tradition, I believe, that stems back a long way now. Tell us some more about this.
Yes, so this tradition, there are actually a few traditions that we have. One of which is this year we're bringing back some bagpipers coming through. So everybody will be bagpiped in. That's kind of a cool tradition. And of course, everybody wears kind of I guess a 17th or 18th, not everybody, the Commodore will wear a 17th century or 18th century kind of Commodore's hat. They all get to wear one. Last year, it was funny enough, Lois had two of them because she was the Commodore twice, which was kind of interesting. And what's also great about this tradition is that you're joined by a lot of the past Commodores, and this year we're going to have Lois Zabrocki, Robert Bugbee, John Hadjipateras, and a few others. So if you haven't joined, it's a great thing to do and to see and to be a part of. And there's a few other things that happen as well.
Oh, okay. So what about visitors? What can they expect when they visit the exhibition, which incidentally is free to attend?
Well, it's one of the things that I enjoy doing, and you get to see some of the wares that people have and some of the actual hardware that people have, as well as hear about people's services. We also have a few exhibitors that are let's say more community based. So they get to see what they're doing there, what those organizations are doing as well. But really it's a place where you get to mingle people. Like I said before, you get to see some old and some new. So it's a lot of fun just to walk around and to see what's happening.
You mentioned earlier that we have over 90 confirmed speakers. Are there any in particular that you're especially looking forward to hearing from?
Well, I think this year the show has done a great job in getting some really high-level speakers. We have Guy Platten, Secretary General of the International Chamber of Shipping. We have Michael Lund, Deputy Secretary General of BIMCO. John McDonald, who's an Executive Vice President and CEO of ABS. Jeff Prebor, Senior Vice President and CFO of International Seaways. And Robert Bugbee, who's also a past Commodore and President and Director of Scorpio Tankers. And finally, Uni El Nemo, Director of the International Bunkers Industry Association. And we have a few others that are speakers as well that I think you're going to truly enjoy.
Brilliant. We all know that the commercial shipping industry is vast. How do you whittle down to the topics that you decide for the event? That must be an incredibly difficult shortlist.
Well, it really is important to get the right speaker, and you know, COVID, although we're getting past the hurdle, has made a little bit of a challenge. Informa and the team did a great job there. We had a focus for the show of a decade of action, and CMA Shipping will address multiple topics which fall into a few different streams: bunkering, We have a credit, a legal credit, CLE credit. It's all legal. Decarbonization and alternative energy, digitization, a big panel on freight market, finance, integrated logistics, which is something that we are actually bringing back to the show after a little bit of absence, and salvage and wreck. And one of the most important things and kind of the capstones is the State of the Industry sessions. And finally, we cap off the whole event on Thursday afternoon where we get a few of the Commodores together and they all have what's called a Commodore debate. Finally, one of the really interesting things in the first year that we've done this is that we're bringing our students who presented a research project and won those research projects to give their presentations within some of these tracks. So here's an opportunity where the CMA will be giving back to the community in the form of these research projects.
Thank you. Over the next 3 days, Seatrade Maritime News is going to be asking a series of questions to some of the industry's key stakeholders. And I'd like to ask you, Chris, some of those as well. Are the maritime industries attractive enough to young people? What is your company doing, so Q88, doing to attract and retain new talent in the sector?
Well, I think that we're doing some things, but we need to be doing more. And I think that the use of digitization for workflow breaks down a lot of barriers and kind of democratizes a lot of this, a lot of the workflow that, let's say, had to have been centrally located in certain places. So I think that especially for the maritime industry that has been very regionalized, using technology and being able to hire people from different places certainly helps with that. Personally, Q88, we've always been a younger company. We skewed younger always because we were one of the first digital SaaS companies in this space. So I think we're very attractive because somebody can come in and have a lot of different positions, including client services, product management, what I do, as well as if you're a developer and just want to learn about shipping, we're a place for you, for sure.
The industry talks a lot about disruption across supply chains. Do you think that will sort itself out over time, or will regulators need to intervene?
I actually believe that it'll sort itself out. And I'm going to get a little bit maybe philosophical here, but Newton's third law is observed: for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And I think that law can be used to talk about what will happen in supply chains. We've had this disruption, which is an action, and the equal and opposite reaction will be the market coming up with a fix. However that fix is, whether it's digital or otherwise, I think the market's going to take care of itself. And you see a lot of these, if you follow a lot of the platforms, there's a lot of money coming into this fix right now.
And we can't talk without mentioning the pandemic. Do you think the maritime industry is now returned to a new normal post-pandemic, and what's changed?
I think we're still transitioning into some sort of new normal. But I do go back to my earlier comment. I do think the biggest change is the fact that the embrace of more remote workers, especially through a wider variety of positions within companies. I do think for some companies, especially when you have trading and operations sitting together, they want to go back to the old way of doing things and sitting together. That makes a lot of sense. But there's a lot of functions within shipping companies that's not necessary. And I think management will be accepting of some of those functions and even some of the trading functions to step into a more virtual type environment.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for your time. I know you're a busy man, so we shall let you go. Is there anything else you would like to say before we say goodbye?
No, but we welcome everybody, and we hope that you get a lot from this show, and we look forward to seeing you next year as well.